Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
What's up, y'all? It's your brother, Mr. Holipsism. Doing this video because it was an observation that I had. I was talking to this with my cousin, and it's something that I noticed is the reason why black folks can't seem to make any progress or can't seem to wrap their mind around certain concepts, because there's a disconnect between reality and what they perceive as the concept. And I'm going to explain what I mean so you know what I'm talking about at the end of this video. Dude, I'm trying to think, should I give away any? Well, no, I won't give away any names. I don't have to for this, but there's a brother who has a social media site, sort of like in the Facebook vein, that's black. And he's frustrated because people complain about Facebook. They call it Fedbook. They call it, all types of things that, people just love complaining about Facebook, but yet they're on Facebook. So he, being a solution-oriented brother, said, well, I'll create this platform. Come to this platform. It's a black platform. It's run by black people. If you're complaining about Facebook and you're upset about what Facebook's doing, just leave Facebook and support something else. And he's frustrated because these same people will keep complaining and keep complaining and keep complaining about Facebook, but never make the move off Facebook. And since I've been in this game for a while, he probably, I don't know, I'm assuming, but I'm just based on his level of frustration, he probably hasn't been in the game as long as me. I decided to give him some advice. I didn't speak to him personally, but I spoke through my cousin. And I said, the reason why things like this happen is because black people have turned this struggle against the white man and against the system into a fetish. And it is much more comfortable to complain about the problem than it is to actually solve the problem. And I'm going to let you know something else. If you come up with a solution to solve the problem, you in your mind is thinking, well, I came up with the solution. Everybody should be happy. No, 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 no. What you don't realize is that you've elicited a lot of anger by coming up with the solution, because if you come up with a solution to a problem that people don't want to solve, really, then your solution is a buzzkill to their complaining. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been in this for a while, so I know how this game works, and I know how this mentality is. Why do you think all of a sudden now black people are saying, well, I know that Africa is the cradle of civilization, but we was everywhere. So we can't just concentrate on Africa because, like, take for instance in a situation with America, we was here first. Now, why do you think that's coming up now? Why do you think that that's becoming very popular now? Does it have anything to do with the fact that people are talking about land, infrastructure, nationhood, and talking about solution-oriented materials, and talking about using the motherland as a vehicle for us to obtain power? Now, all of a sudden, well, it's not just about Africa. Wow, what a coincidence. What a coincidence that now it's not about Africa. And I guess that's just, like I said, it's just a coincidence. It just happened to organically pop up right now. See, This is, to me, this is not an intelligence thing, because some of the most brightest, intelligent, articulate people I know have the nationhood disconnect. Like if there's a video on my channel called 1000 Black Tongues, and it's got a picture of the porn star kitten on it with a long tongue. Check out that video. And there's a conversation with me, Minister DeWood, and my nephew, Ambassador Assar. Ambassador Assar is an intelligent brother. Me and him have come up um, in this knowledge and struggle game for like over 20 years. So he's not a dummy. He's a very smart dude. But even he had a nationhood disconnect in that conversation, because in the conversation, um, we were talking about Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, right? And one of the points that he had made up in the conversation was that if Farrakhan dies, he hasn't appointed a successor. And he was saying this as if that was something that Farrakhan needed to do in order for the Nation of Islam to go forward. And my point was, that's a faulty system. Because if Donald Trump dies, does he have to appoint a successor? See, the reason why, that's what I'm talking about when I say nationhood disconnect. Because you're living in a nation right now, and that scenario that you're painting is already present. We have a president in the United States of America. If the president of the United States of America dies, nobody has to wait for, like, nobody, we're not sitting as a nation going, well, damn, what are we going to do now? We already know who the next president is going to be, because there's a system in place. So you do not have to rely on one charismatic individual to make a decision in order for shit to move on. And that was the point I was making in the video, but I don't think we ever came to a real conclusion on that. We were just going back and forth. It was a friendly debate. But that disconnect is what I want to focus on in this video. Here's another disconnect. You have people who fight me tooth and nail on infrastructure. Oh, you always bringing up infrastructure. You always talking about infrastructure like that's like that's a nice big word, so you make it seem like a da 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 da. All these dumbass niggas. The same niggas who will fight me on infrastructure, guess what? They're on the communications infrastructure called the internet. When they get off the internet, they're probably living in some place, either an apartment or a house. That's an infrastructure. When they leave, they're either going to drive a car or get on the train or the subway and take public transportation. So either they got a Metro card, that's infrastructure that they support, or they got to go to the gas station and get some gas. That's infrastructure they support. They go to a job and they either work for somebody or they work for themselves. So that's infrastructure they support. They're supporting the economy. Everything, they pay bills. They pay a gas bill. They pay an electricity bill. They pay a cable bill. They pay a phone bill. They pay taxes. Everything in their life revolves around them supporting the infrastructure, but yet they'll get on Facebook and YouTube and argue with me about how infrastructure is not important. That's the nationhood disconnect. We don't see what we live in as being relevant to the concepts that we're talking about. When you say nation for black people, there's the nation that they live in, which is America, or wherever else they live, that they support, and they are that cog in the wheel that keeps that system running every single day. But when you talk about nationhood for us, then there's a disconnect. Now it's some mysterious shit that they don't understand. They don't understand how it's the same damn thing. Social, economic, and political control. That means that we handle everything. That means that if there's a storm, we have to come up with measures to deal with the storm before it comes, deal with the storm while it's happening, and deal with the aftermath of the storm. So you can't, it's the perfect way to, and I've made this analogy before. It's like an apartment versus a house. A lot of people don't want a house because they don't want all the responsibilities that come with a house. If something breaks, you got to take care of it. That's nationhood. Living in your apartment is living in America. So what it is, you got a bunch of people who refuse that, like they're trying to argue with you about how you should not have a house, that you should just rent. Just rent and let the landlord take care of everything. That's their mentality. Because they don't see nationhood when we do it as real. But when they live in a white man's nation, then that's like a fish in water. Like the fish is in water, the fish doesn't even understand what it's like to not be in water. Because that's its existence. And that's what Negroes are in America. So when it comes to nationhood and infrastructure and land and all that other stuff, they are entrenched in it in America without even realizing it. But when it comes to that, thinking about it from their own perspective or from their own people having control of the nation, then there's that disconnect. They don't make the connection that the nation that they living in now and the nation that we want to have as a people is the same damn thing. Fundamentally the same thing. I mean, there's going to be differences in philosophies and stuff like that, but the overall context of what a nation is the same. Socioeconomic and political control over your environment. You control. If something happens, you take care of it. You don't wait for somebody else. So that's what I mean. It's like there's this disconnect when it comes to black people, when it comes to nationhood. And that's because nationhood, when it comes to us, is fairy dust. When it comes to us taking care of ourselves, we can't even possibly contemplate or imagine our people in a position where we control everything in the society. That's fairy dust. But you live in a situation where the white man controls everything in your society, and that's just like a fish in water. It's just natural. It's the way things are supposed to be. And there's another analogy that I want to give too as to why people don't support nationhood and why there's a nationhood disconnect. And I've used this analogy before, but I'll use it again. Indulge me. Christians, according to their own doctrine, the penalty for violating your marriage is hellfire, eternal damnation, right? So when you're tempted and you see something that's your type, be it man or woman, you see a woman that fits your your sexual Rolodex, or a man that fits your sexual Rolodex, if you're a woman, and a woman that fits your sexual Rolodex if you're a man, of course, or whatever. You have a choice. You can either indulge in that temporary sexual satisfaction, or if you do that and risk hellfire, or you can say, you know what, I don't want to be eternally damned, so I know it looks good, but I'm going to leave it alone. Now, what do most people do? Most people indulge. Now, you got to ask yourself, if you indulge in an activity that you know, according to your own doctrine, will get you hellfire, then that seems like a fairly obvious choice. Like, why do it? But here's the answer, and it's a real, I guess, simple answer, and it's kind of disheartening for most. Not disheartening for me because it's just real. The reason why you'll take that temporary sexual satisfaction is because dick and pussy is real. Hellfire is just a theory. Think about it. Nobody ever came back from you telling, "Oh shit, man, they burned my ass alive. I don't want you. You better not go to hell because that." Nobody ever came back from hell and told you how it was. So this is all just theoretical. And when it comes down to the come down, real shit is always going to win out over theoretical bullshit 100% of the time. And that's the reason why you cheat. Because dick and pussy is real. It's something that you can experience in your life right now. It's tangible, it's concrete, it's something that you can connect with on a real intimate level. And that's all that matters. It's just like that scene from the Matrix when the Merovingian is talking about the how he designed the cake and talking about how at some point the right and wrong just goes away and all that matters is the feeling. And that's the reason why people do what they do. And that's the reason why we don't see nationhood for us, ourselves, and our people as a tangible, concrete thing. We see it as a fantasy. But we will indulge in the nationhood of the white man because that's real to us. And you can take away from that what you will. But I just think that that's just a slight observation from me that I found relevant to the discourse. Anyway, I'll holler at you good people later. Peace.